And also, please do not put phones on the table. No phones allowed on the table. And we require you to make a notes, and Miss Rahma will provide you a piece of paper. Please make a notes, summarize of this session, and then give back to Miss Rahma or me once you finish writing the summary, okay? The summary has to be minimum 600 words, okay? Okay, so let's start our session today by reciting Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And Professor Stefan is from Munich, Germany. He is one of the professor in the University of Army, Military in Munich. And he's also teaching not only in Munich in German, but also in Indonesia. Please pay attention. No phone. Okay. Oh, yeah. Welcome, Mr. Ahmad. Yeah. Waalaikumsalam. Okay. Okay. Now the session is yours. And we will have discussion. So if you need to ask the students, I will go and walk and give the microphone to them.
Ya, selamat pagi. Ya, saya dari Bundeswehr University itu ya universitas dari German Armed Forces di Munich. Ada dua federal university in Germany, di Jerman. Itu salah satu dari dua universitas di sana. Federal biasanya itu bagian negara bagian, state university. Tidak seperti itu banyak private university. Dan saya sudah datang ke Indonesia dan punya acara untuk berkuliah di Indonesia sudah hampir 15 tahun di banyak provinsi, dari Jakarta sampai Pekanbaru. Saya juga sudah di Aceh, tapi biasanya saya di Surabaya, Jakarta, Pekanbaru dan Makassar. So hari ini saya mau berbicara tentang topik mungkin lebih inovatif daripada yang biasa. Yeah. Oh, because our younger student or younger lecturer said I should speak Bahasa today, and the dean also said, you speak. Okay, then I speak English. I thought maybe it's, but are there people that don't speak Indonesian? Is there anyone not speaking? Oh, you don't speak Indonesian. Where you come from? Australia. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I saw there is bule, and I was thinking, yeah. I mean, my daughter is also half Indonesian, and she looks very bule. Who knows, right? Okay, because our colleague has told me, today speak Bahasa with them, yeah, because the other days nobody, or at least 50% of the people did not understand, so I had to campur, yeah, but it's anyway better like this. So I have I'm very happy about that. So I have a from Kenya. That means your language is also rather English, right? You speak Indonesian? How long you are here? Okay, and you are how long? 3 months, and you stay 1 semester? To Bandung, to where? To Unpar. Okay. Then let's go. Yeah, as I said already in Bahasa, maybe I translate it. So my university is an army university. This is already maybe understood. Yeah. So the topic today is rather unconventional because normally people think, wow, science fiction literature, science fiction movie. This is just entertaining, yeah, entertainment, and why we don't talk about Barbie and law or something like that, right? But actually, I learned that I'm a big science fiction fan because I'm an old guy. The old guys, they know about the old science fiction, and I'm a Trekkie. I must say, I like Star Trek, all from Star Trek. Yeah, the best one is the Deep Space Nine, actually, the most interesting one because a lot of politics and so in this Deep Space Nine. So I'm a Trekkie, and I also like Star Wars. And I always, before I was studying law already, I watched that, and I was thinking, wow, there are sometimes really good ideas. I mean, it's about utopia, yeah, or maybe dystopia, and it's culturally very interesting because the science fiction literature and the science fiction movie industry use certain narratives, and the narratives change with the culture, and the narratives change also with the perception of the public about what is our future with the technology, with the development of the technology. And we can see that, I mean, I'm born 66, and in 66, I mean 68, I think 69 was the moon landing. So I remember, maybe it was not the first but I remember when I was 4 years or like this, I was sitting with my parents in front of the black and white television, watching a very boring transmission from the moon when this moon lander was flying over the moon. You see the craters, and then and then talking around, yeah, and that was fascinating for the people. I mean, it was very boring. You saw just gray surfaces and so, but it was fascinating. We thought, wow, now starts the science fiction, right? And then later, I even called some German professor, an expert, and then I asked him about, because some newspaper made that occasion, and then I asked him, what is about the gold and the raw material in the moon? Can we use it, and so something like that. So we were fascinated by that. But nowadays, when we see science fiction, then we see often dystopia, and we can maybe learn something from the science fiction. The background why I developed that lecture is that we prepare a study book in Bahasa Indonesia about AI and private law, and that one will come as an ebook already this year, and next year there will be the paper book. And in that book I wanted to make a chapter about science fiction and law, and one chapter is indeed science fiction and law. And I learned that actually that could be a part of the study programs in universities. So what can we learn from the science fiction? And I will show you certain examples where the science fiction narratives already are realistic and are already there. I mean, we already have to face that, and where it would have been maybe better to think about in the time when these movies came out, about how we handle that when it comes out. Because maybe in that time, when I remember when I was around 20 or so, then I was thinking, yeah, that is in the year 2400 or something like that, I will not be alive anymore. But actually it happens now, certain things, yeah, certain dystopia even might happen soon. And then in the end, I would like to discuss with you some issues about how our society can change. And I have some ideas about that. Maybe I want to share, and maybe you want to discuss with me later. Because if you're international class, it's fine for you to make a discussion later. So let's start about that. And the introduction: why is science fiction important, or why it could be important, why it could matter? Because we have thought experiments here. Yeah. So in the science fiction literature, of course, there is cheap literature and there is good literature, which I would say it's world literature, like Isaac Asimov, or also the William Gibson from the cyberspace and from the cyberpunk literature in the 80s and 90s. Very hard to read, but fascinating, because the cyberpunk movement in the science fiction literature anticipated the virtualization of the world, and also the tendency to become digital cyborgs by connecting our brain activity and our thinking with artificial thinking helps, like ChatGPT or like these platforms. And this is it is useful if you take that serious, because then we have already simulations of certain aspects in our life, in our culture, and how the technology might change our culture. We all know that the law actually is not agile enough. So we learned that in the past. When I did my doctorate, for example, it was a big topic, the cloning. Yeah, so how we deal with the cloning, and Actually, I had a colleague who made a doctoral thesis about the cloning, and nobody took it serious. Yeah, this is cloning, making genetic experiments between human and pavian, or so. This is not happening. Yeah, but and now we know it's happening. Yeah? And then okay, we can say it doesn't happen in Indonesia, and doesn't happen in European Union. But what people can do, they will do. It happens in China. It happens maybe also. Also, Israel is well known that they make kind of experiments and don't have that limits. And China especially did that already. The law is reacting not fast enough to the technological development. That is for sure. And you can see it in the new AI regulation of the European Union, which you could say, oh wow, that is so innovative. The European Union is the first one making a comprehensive regulation on AI, on ethical AI. And also it is, we see here the Brussels effect, that other countries will maybe copy that, like South Korea already did it, and Indonesia, I'm sure, will copy it. Same like you copied the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, in your Undang-Undang Perlindungan Data Pribadi. That will happen. However, it is not an agile approach. Yeah, it is not agile enough. Why? I mean, look at China. Okay, of course, the ethical background of China, of the People's Republic of China, is not comparable with the European Union. When China talks about ethical AI, then they mean stability of their society. And stability of their society from the point of view of the Chinese legislator means stability of the Communist Party of China, because the Communist Party of China is the guarantee for stability of the society in the ideology of the People's Republic of China. But the methods, how to make the legislation and the regulation of the AI, is actually a more agile one, because they make it vertically. They think, okay, this is a problem here, and they make it vertically and just make a punctual vertical regulation of the AI issue in, for example, in the financing industry, or in the B2C market, in the online shopping, yeah, or in this question of emotion recognition or something like that. Like EU is defining AI comprehensively overall and tries to define dangerous purposes for the AI, but not differentiating vertically. It make it horizontal. And horizontal is a problem because you don't know which issues will arise in the next years, and we don't know whether the definitions and the terminology of this regulation is fast enough changed to new condition. And then also, of course, China is easier. For China, it is easier because they are a dictator, so it's faster than in a democracy, and especially in a democracy or in a supranational organization like European Union with, I think, 25 member states, which all have different approaches and there's always compromise. This is not agile, yeah, and that's why we must say if we want to be more agile, then we should also have visions. And really, I'm very a big fan of telling the students that you should not learn the law and you should not study the law in a conservative way. Yeah, like we always did. I mean, also I did that. Yeah, so there is the lecture about that. There's a lecture about that. There's a lecture about consumer protection. There's a lecture about data protection. There's a lecture about antitrust law. There is lecture about private law, and so on and so on. And then the students are happy if they have their examination about that lecture, that module, that module. It's the system. Yeah, but if you want to be more than just a functionary, if you want to survive in this new, very agile future, where you will be very easy replaced if you're just a functionary by AI agents. We can see that already in Germany with the hiring, how many young lawyers are hired by the law firms. We can see a big backward tendency with the hiring of young lawyers. Then you must understand this all in a comprehensive, systematic, and see the connections between that and see it in a more innovative way. Innovative way means you need ideas, you need visions, and you need to watch into the future, look into the future, and not just learn what is the status quo and think that is enough for you to survive in the next 20 years as a professional. Yeah, if I started studying law again, I would double think what I do and how I would do that, and I would maybe not just stick with the programs of the universities, and would go far beyond that. And I don't mean learning coding, because that is anyway not necessary anymore in the future, coding. Yeah. So future-orientated legal thinking is essential, and we need that, and we can learn something from the science fiction. So the science fiction is actually a testing ground for the AI law, especially for the AI law, but we'll also talk about some other issues, because it anticipates don't like the word moral, ethical dilemmas, let's say, ethical dilemma in many phases of the science fiction literature and the history of the science fiction movie, and it gives us insights. And very interesting is, I mentioned that in the beginning, that the public perception of technology can be monitored by monitoring the science fiction and the change of the literature and of the movies. Yeah, so especially you can see that in the regarded to the AI. Yeah, for example, we had in the 70s, in this psychedelic time, there is a wonderful movie, 2001: A Space Odyssey. I can only recommend that movie if you are interested in avant-gardistic movies and avant-gardistic art, and the music is incredible. It's the psychedelic crazy 70s. And in this movie, a mission of astronauts is going to a mission, and they had a board computer named HAL 9000, and HAL 9000 always talks with them, but it is not embodied. You don't see HAL 9000. HAL 9000 is always present. He is talking with the people. Maybe this is a little bit the vision what we can await maybe from the next big thing of Apple. Because I heard the rumor that Apple is preparing some little item which is just a little box, and you have that little box in your pocket, and that little box is connected with you, and you can with the earphones or whatever, and the little box is your AI agent all the time helping you, and then we don't need the screen anymore. We just ask our little box, and the little box tells us something in the ear, and something like that. Yeah. So this is like HAL 9000, and HAL 9000 is actually helpful, but on the other side, he is really bound to his mission. And then in the end of the movie, he's killing all the astronauts because the astronauts are hindering his mission. This is a little bit a problem of a dilemma, yeah, of the mission. Should the robot or the AI help us and support us? And if the AI has a mission, is it allowed to do that also on the cost of the life of people, because the mission is more valuable than the people? So what matters more? But this is a good example for the disembodied AI, like a supercomputer. So it was the time when we had these big rooms full with computer technology, and one computer had a room like that is one computer, and that had not more power to calculate like home computer. When I got my home computer in 1986, that was already stronger than these big computers in the 70s. Yeah. And the people were fascinated by these things. This changed, and then we got embodied AI, like humanoid robots, like Commander Data. We'll talk about him in Star Trek, or Ava in Ex Machina, wonderful movie from the 2000s, I think 2012 or so, British movie. Also interesting is that you see here a quite sympathetic robot, right? But there are movies about, for example, there's some anime movie about little robot who is alone in a world, and then he has adventures on very sympathetic robots. And then nowadays we see more and more the unsympathetic robots. Yeah, when I made a presentation about copyright and AI training, I asked DALL-E to give me a picture of an Indonesian-looking student and a robot watching that student while writing scriptsy, yeah, writing an article. And what it created was a very, very ugly and really threatening robot. Yeah, so nowadays we see more and more this vision of the threatening robots, because the people start to understand that this technology might be dangerous for us and might be not controllable anymore. Yeah, in the 80s, We also had that. Yeah? We also had this motif of dangerous artificial intelligence, dangerous robots. But it is more and more, we can more and more see that we get more and more threatening, horror-like robots, or robots which are looking nice, but in the end of the day are evil. Yeah, like in Ava. Ava is a very evil robot in the end, but the guy, the hero in the movie, falls in love with Ava because she is so charming and she's looking good and she is giving him the impression that she needs help and that she needs support of him and so. And then in the end of the day, she will delete humanity. So for us as law interested people, maybe the basic, if you're not interested at all in science fiction, and many of you have never heard of that science fiction movies I present later, but if you have to remember one thing, then it is Asimov's robot laws. Isaac Asimov's robot laws. Anyone heard about Isaac Asimov's robot laws? None? Nobody? Well, it should be, because it should be in the methods of law. It should be in the introduction of law. Anyone should have heard about that. Because the robot laws is also interesting if you're not interested in AI or in science fiction, because the robot laws show a general problem of how to deal with hierarchy of rules. And hierarchy of rules is, of course, important. Especially in Indonesia, we, with your typical legal pluralism, hierarchy of rules must be understood. Because we still in Indonesia, and if you see the books of experts about the legal system in Indonesia, we still don't know what is really the relation between adat, national law, state law, and Islamic law. Islamic law and state law is maybe not so difficult, but adat and state law, the hierarchy is not so clear. Yeah, because in the constitution you don't have a clear hierarchy fix. And that leads to problems for the market in Indonesia. Just an example, if the governor of Bali forbids Bluebird to pick up people in the airport because he wants to support the local taxi drivers, what he use adat. As he says, that is because of adat. But colleagues of mine who are expert in adat, and also I worked on that, they say that actually there is no defined adat. A part of something in the land law, yeah, there is some adat defined. A part of that, there is only some articles which say the judge and the court should take care and should also take into account the adat when deciding a case. That means nothing and means all. Yeah? So adat can be used, because there is no clear hierarchy, can be used as an instrument to discriminate Indonesian companies. Yeah? And this is a problem of hierarchy. So anyone should know about hierarchy of rules. And Isaac Asimov developed these rules in a short story from 1942. He's a Russian-American science fiction author, The 3 Laws of Robotics. Yeah? And the 3 laws of robotics are also important for us here because it shows a general problem with dealing with AI. When we want to have rules controlling AI, we need to deal with the so-called alignment problem. The alignment problem. I will explain what that is. But first, let's see what the robot laws mean. First rule, a robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. Second, a robot must obey the orders given by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And third, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws. 3 simple rules. And for someone who is not further thinking about that, it is actually enough, right? I mean, the robot should not kill someone. Okay, that's fine. We cannot, and the robot should, of course, not kill himself, because otherwise the item, which is expensive, is gone. And the robot should obey orders. Very easy. For what I have a robot if he doesn't obey orders. But when I give him the order to kill my friend, it should also not happen, right? So we need a hierarchy. And the hierarchy is, first of all, the robot should not harm, injure a human being. So if I order the robot to kill my friend, the robot will not do that, because the rule he should obey is in the rank under the rule not killing a person, right? So we need that. And then, of course, the robot could come into a conflict and can come into a situation where it's dangerous for him because and he should not do that. But if I order the robot to destroy himself, he must obey the order, because the order is superior to the rule that he should protect himself. Very easy. But Asimov shows in this short story that there are situations where the robot can come into an endless repeating situation. Yeah, because the hierarchy is not so easy for all situations to determine. We cannot foresee all the situations. We can say that this hierarchy is too simple for everything. So it will come to situations where we come to problems. And then Asimov himself thought, well, but sometimes there could be the situation that it is dangerous for the humanity if the robot is not allowed to kill someone. I mean, this is an old problem, right? So we have a train, and then the train could go to the left, and then to the right. And when the locomotive go to the left, then the locomotive, the one who drives that locomotive will die. But it goes to the right, it will kill 10 workers. And then how should the dispatcher should decide? Should he send the locomotive to this way or this way? Yeah, this old dilemma. Yeah, or in Germany we had the decision of the Constitutional Court about, can the German army shoot down a passenger aircraft to avoid something what happened in 9/11? So we saved 3,000 people and killed 300. This is a big ethical dilemma, and actually this is I also explain this dilemma with the Abraham dilemma, right? You have a little child in front of you. I mean, the story in the Bible is a little bit different, but this is on the basis of it. You have a little baby, and some higher power, whoever it is, whichever religion you have, the higher power says, kill that baby and 10,000 people are safe, or don't kill the baby because you have compassion with this very cute looking innocent baby, and then 10,000 people will die. Yeah? It's very easy to say, if I don't kill the baby, I'm the murderer of 10,000 people. Then every government who is not negotiating with terrorists is also murderer government. Actually, still the terrorist kills the people if the government doesn't pay or does not set the other terrorist friends free, right? It's not the government, it's the terrorist. If this higher power says kill the baby, and you don't do that, and 10,000 people die now. I mean, in the Abraham story, God later said, okay, Abraham didn't do it, and then Abraham was not punished because God wanted to test Abraham. But the thing is, if I not kill the baby because I don't have I have too much compassion for that, it means not that I'm the murderer of 10,000 people. If I ask students in Indonesia and in Germany, what would you do? What would you do? Say spontaneous. Would you kill the baby? Spontaneous, fast, don't think much. What would you do? Kill the baby? Yeah, you are a man. Yesterday I asked a woman and she said, no. Or one of my students in Germany last semester said, this is, I mean soldiers, officers, German army officers, this is not a legitimate question. The AI would be in this dilemma, would say tilt, click out, yeah? This is not a legitimate question, it's actually the tilt of the human. But what we can say, it is not so clear what we would do, because some people would say no, because they would say it is a sin to kill an innocent life, or maybe you say you would do it, but then this baby is in front of you and you have compassion and you say, no, I don't do that. This is maybe just a test like in the Bible, yeah, something like that, and nothing will happen if I do that, yeah, or we don't know. The question is, we are not determined. I mean, there is no deterministic idea behind that. We can do it or we cannot do it. Because we are free to choose. Yeah, I loved existentialistic literature, French literature, Sartre or Camus. And if you read Sartre, if you know Sartre, this is exactly the point. I think this is a very humanistic approach. You are free, therefore choose. I don't kill you. I'm not killing you. Maybe I have a knife here, but I'm not killing you. But I could kill you, right? You don't know. Homo homini lupus. The human is the wolf of the human. Oh, there comes a man. Oh, there comes a wolf. Who knows? I'm totally free to do that. I'm not only not free to choose the point of my death, but even that I can choose, because I can choose now to do suicide. The only way to come out of that freedom of humanity is to kill yourself. Yeah? This is the only way. But if you decide not to kill yourself, and I hope we all not decide to kill ourselves now, if you decide not to kill yourself, it means you are sentenced to freedom. And this is the difference to AI. We are sentenced to freedom. We have the freedom to kill the baby and save 10,000, or we have the freedom to not do that, or we have the freedom to ignore it. But the AI does what it should do. It's not clear what it should do. It's a black box. But it can be programmed in rules, like the Asimov rules. The rule said never harm an individual. Then whatever happens, it will not harm an individual. But actually, immediately, it doesn't harm the individual, but immediately, it harms 10,000, right? And here we have already the first dilemma with the Isaac Asimov law, with the 3 laws, yeah? Because not harming a baby is the first rule, but we harm 10,000. So which rule is now more valuable? Dangerous question. The German Constitutional Court says it is not conform with the human dignity to value one life against many life. It is not ethic. Yeah? We cannot say 10,000 people have better right to live than one person. We cannot say 10 elderly people of 95 years who maybe only live 1, 2, 3 years more have less right to live than one young person. This is the question of the triade in the COVID. Yeah, the triade is a very difficult question. But you cannot choose who lives and who gets the oxygen and who will not live on this is the majority or this is the minority or this is older people and that is younger people. You can choose maybe who has the better chance to survive now. Something like that, maybe. Yeah. Actually, this assessment, should we shoot down the aircraft and save the 3,000, in the sense of, in the idea of the German Constitutional Court at least, would not be legitimate. Yeah. So it means, and this is, of course, we can discuss that, right? But for our feeling, we should shoot down the aircraft. Yeah. But this decision is actually an infringement of the human dignity. Yeah. These decisions come all the time in military situation, in army situation. I remember an issue of a German major in Afghanistan who decided to send American bombers to some place where some people were dealing around with a tank truck, yeah, and he decided to send the bombers there because he thought, oh, they prepare some terror attack to Kabul, and in the end of the day, it was just people from the village taking water, or I don't know what, the fuel or whatever, but civil people, they didn't do anything. Is he guilty or not? He wanted to protect many people because this tank station with fuel or explosive would have killed thousands of people maybe. And then in the end of the day, he had to face a criminal procedure in Germany, because negligence. This is always a problem. It does not say that I will be punished. When I'm a pilot of that aircraft, and I notice, wow, they want to send me to the skyscraper with 3,000 people. then I cannot say I saved the 3,000 and kill my 300 passenger, because this is against the human dignity, yeah, from the point of view of the Constitutional Court. But also we must say we call it an over-normative emergency situation. So if I decide that, or if the officer decide to shoot down the aircraft to save 3,000 people, it is maybe unconstitutional. But you cannot punish him, in my opinion, because he is in an emergency situation where you cannot await that someone functioned in a formal way correct, like the Constitutional Court says. You know what I mean? There is the pragmatism, and then there's the normativism. Yeah, this is very interesting. We cannot make a law which says the army is obliged to shoot down an aircraft if there are only 300 people and more than that people will die. Yeah, that we cannot say. We cannot make it law. That would be an unconstitutional law. But if in the individual situation the individual makes the decision like this, we also cannot punish him. Yeah, it's a very interesting question, and this is really, really a dilemma, because when we discuss about self-driving cars, then we need rules. How we program the AI of the self-driving car. Imagine the car sees there's a wall, and the car says, okay, if I go against the wall, then my driver will die. But here are 10 elderly people from the senior residence. They anyway not live long, right? So let's go to the soft goal, and the driver is safe. Can I program the car to save the driver by any means? Or can I program the car to save more or save less people? Or can some people in some organization in Germany suggest to give the rule to the AI to choose always the stronger participant in the traffic? So if there are bicycle drivers, actually politically we want to support bicycle drivers and want to get rid of the cars. So bicycle driver but this is an assessment which is, in my opinion, not constitutional. You cannot make a rule in the traffic law saying that the self-driving car must decide like that. So the best way would be randomizing. So make a random decision. The AI must randomize the decision. So sometimes the driver is lucky, sometimes the other one is lucky. The same applies to if you have AI as a judge. AI as a judge seems nice, because I was a judge. I used to be a criminal judge, first youth criminal and then adult criminal, when I started my career. And I always was afraid to do decisions which harm the life of people, and it is maybe not a good decision. But sometimes we are tired. Sometimes we are sleepy. Sometimes we have a bad mood. We are hungry. And sometimes we also perceive something wrong. How do I deal with that? I mean, some people say, wow, this is typical for human. You are faulty. Let's replace human judges with AI. AI is deterministic. AI is not sad. AI has no bad mood. AI is not hungry. AI doesn't want to go home. Yeah, and then the AI can assess, and maybe the AI says 98% likeliness that that one is the delinquent, because ada bukti, there's testimonies, there is proofs, yeah, and after the assessment of all that, and after the oral procedure, the AI says likeliness 90%. Now, what would the judge do? The judge in Germany, I'm sure here same, there is a clear rule in the procedural law that I can only sentence someone if I'm personally totally convinced that the accused person is the delinquent. I must be personally convinced as a judge. This is a humanistic concept. Convinced means my guts, my feelings, yeah? So even if any of the saksi, any of the witnesses say, I recognize him, and he was that. Even if we have a lot of proofs, if I find something fishy, maybe he was played, something like that, yeah? Then I cannot sentence him. I'm not allowed to sentence him. I cannot say, okay, statistically 90%, so what? Go home. Cannot. AI will do that. AI will not have feelings. Me as a judge has feelings. Is that now good or is it bad? The IT people say it's not good. That's why we need AI, Stefan. Sorry, we will replace you with the robots, with the computers. I say it is necessary if we keep our constitution. Because if we have the human dignity, it means we are integrated in human societies, and integrated life in human society is the right to be subject of elementary and existential decisions by humans. Not a machine should alone decide about my fate. It is my chance as a delinquent to have a judge who is tired and maybe good mood, but want to go home and want to have it fast from the table, and I cannot really say that. I'm not sure. So this is a milder one. Or the judge is angry. That is my risk. The judge is angry, and the judge has a bad feeling, and also cannot stand your face, and you smell bad, and something like that. And the judge said, "What a horrible person!" Yeah, I follow the accuser, and maybe I put some month on top. This is the risk, but this risk and this chance is part of human existence in a society. That's why we cannot replace these humanistic aspects with deterministic systems like AI. And that's why we see here that actually this hierarchy is not enough if we want to have a good legal system for AI. That's why Mr. Asimov added a zeroth law. And the zeroth law, a robot may not harm humanity or by inaction allow humanity to come to harm. And that is finally the biggest critical point. Yeah? Because this is exactly the cold quantitative decision. Because Asimov noticed, oh, there is a dilemma, yeah, between one, save one, and then maybe 10,000 come to harm. So let's make another rule. Yeah, if the humanity or the majority of the humanity is in danger, that one is the higher rule of it. And this is ethically very problematic, but of course Mr. Asimov was not a lawyer and also not a philosopher, he was just an author. Yeah, and that is not really a law text. Yeah, but you see here the problem. And now imagine a very strong, developed AI decides, climate change, hunger, we have so many people who suffer. Wouldn't it be better if we did not have, how many billion people we have, 6, 7, 8, I don't know. Wouldn't it be better if we had only, well, let's say, how we can make the incest not happening and the genetical clean, let's say 1 billion. And then in every country, it delays a big percentage of all people to help humanity. Is that ethic? It's not. But in the zeroth law, it would be okay. Yeah. So this is a question. This is exactly the problem of alignment. Of the alignment problem. Alignment means we might make a rule now for AI, and we might think, oh yeah, that will apply to most of our situation, and the AI will not act against our interest. But we cannot be sure that in the future the AI will interpret it in a way we like it, because there are other values we also have to take into account, and the values we can maybe not foresee because it's situative values. Yeah, maybe already between the People's Republic of China and, as I mentioned, European Union, there are differences in what is ethic. Yeah, and this is exactly what we can learn from the Asimov laws. So let's see some narratives of the AI and go into the movies. So let's start maybe with the Star Trek. This is the old series, the original series of Star Trek. I think nobody of you ever saw that. This is from the 60s. Yeah, it started, I think, 1967 or 66, the series, and went into the 70s. And it's fascinating because you see how they thought the aesthetic of the future will be. And then you can see the aesthetic of that spaceship is there is a lot of bulbs and big diodes and everything is blinking around, and already now we have these smartphones with touch screens, and so yeah, you can really see also the fashion. I mean, they wear this, we called it, when I was a child, we would call it Nikki. It looks like this frotte material from in the hotel handuk, yeah, something like that. So very interesting. And this one is a Zond. It's the episode is named The Changeling. And this Sonde was actually a Sonde from the 20th century. The Earth sent to the space to explore other life, and then also that has that records about how people talk, and then a little bit formula and all this. What we have this golden record, this platinum records, and then someone sings, and then there is American, of course. They put some American pop singer in it, and some all these things. Yeah, so the aliens will be entertained. And this is the year 2000. I think 2200 or 2300, something like that. And of course, this thing is already long on the way, yeah? And the Enterprise finds that. But this thing wants to destroy the Enterprise. It's very strong. It developed really much power, and it wants to destroy. And this is actually it's a robot which thinks it has the purpose to destroy all minor life. Everything which is not perfect should be destroyed. Yeah? But this is, of course, not the programming of the original Sonde. The Sonde was changing over the centuries by traveling through the space the mission, and misinterpreted the original mission into killing all life which is minor and which is not perfect. And actually all life is not perfect, because biological life forms are always not perfect. There is no perfectionism. How they solved the problem, very interesting. They brought the Sonde into exactly the dilemma which is programmed in its programming. Why? Because it said, well, you should destroy non-perfect existence, right? Yes. Is humanity not perfect? Yes, not perfect, must be destroyed. Are you perfect? Yes, I am perfect. Yeah? And then the crew proves with certain trick that actually that Sonde was also not perfect, because it reprogrammed itself and did not follow the original mission. So the Sonde had to check, I'm also not perfect, not perfect, not perfect. So what should it do? Destroy itself? They didn't want that it destroy itself, because then the spaceship would be also blown up, yeah? So it switched off, tilt, and then they push it out and destroy it. Yeah, so it's one of the earliest motifs where you can see this dilemma when this programming is obviously working, but actually you find out, oh, there is a dilemma, and how to deal with that. More modern is the next seasons. This is from the 80s. This is also Star Trek. This is Star Trek: The Next Generation, and that one is starting to be interesting, because in the Next Generation we see a lot of philosophical problems. Philosophical problems, for example, with the rule of not intermingling into the culture and the inner affairs of other cultures. So the Star Treks are actually very superior in the technology, but sometimes they find civilizations which are not yet going into space and don't know there is something beyond their existence. So they are not allowed to land there and show them the technology and look how what you can all do, yeah, because they already learned in that era that it is that every culture must develop from itself, from inside. So in this series, there is one crew member, and that is Lieutenant Commander Data. Lieutenant Commander Data is a robot. It's an android. He's one of two sophisticated and far-developed android from a genius inventor. He has a brother named Lore, and the brother named Lore has a chip, which is the emotion chip. But Commander Data has no emotion chip. Commander Data, Commander Data is a good crew member. Anyone likes him, but he is not really understanding what is human existence. So he tries to make jokes. He can tell you jokes, but it's not funny. When you know these people, some people tell you jokes, and it's really funny, whatever bullshit they say, and then other people say jokes, and it's not so nice, yeah, how they talk it, how they say that, yeah. And he tries to play violin, and he plays it perfect, but nobody likes it because there's no emotion in it. And you could say, wow, shouldn't we have AI with emotions? Wow, the brother has emotion chip, but the brother is evil. Exactly because of the emotions, he has the creativity to harm the people, and he is evil. And he has the tendency to do all evil things. Yeah. So this is the background, and in this episode, The Measure of a Man, the Starfleet Command wants to take this data from the crew and wants to bring him to make experiments with him, because they want to know how to program and how to make androids like him. They want to make experiments, so they will use him like a rat in a laboratorium. But he doesn't want, and he claims, I have the right to decide where I am, and I have the right to be protected, and I have the right to have my own body, habeas corpus or something like that, right? The crew is defending him. As there is one of the earliest legal procedures, so there is a tribunal where we have an accuser and we have a defender, that is the captain of that starship, and they negotiate about the quality of data as a human and whether data has a right to be compatible to human rights. Does data have self-consciousness? Does data have the self-deterministic rights? So is data allowed to decide alone about his existence? And in the end comes out that actually he is not human, and he has no emotion, and actually we cannot just make the rights of an entity connected only with emotions, but what counts is that the item, that this data is integrated into the society, is helpful in the society, and is always helping in the society, and is treated like a human part of the society. But the way his brain processes activities, or the way whether that is already consciousness, or consciousness needs feelings or suffering, this is not so important. This reminds us to the definition of strong AI by Alan Turing. Alan Turing made a test. There is a human, and then there is the AI. And you make a conversation with both. And if you cannot say which one is the AI and which one is the human, that is strong AI. Yeah? The next motif, very famous movie, Blade Runner from the 80s. And there's a new movie about that. Blade Runner is an actual movie. That one is the original one, from the 80s, from 86, I think, 82. In Blade Runners, we haven't androids, but we have artificial people. So they have artificial humans. These humans have feelings. They can suffer. They can love. They can hate. But they are made for helping the humanity. For slaves, actually, servants. But humanity says, wow, these artificial humans are so similar to us. We cannot risk that these artificial humans are a concurrence to us sooner or later and start to want to have rights. So they program genetically these artificial humans for a lifespan of only 3 years. So each of that artificial person can only live 3 years. After 3 years, they all die automatically, punctually. Yeah? And the question is the ethical question is, how close an entity has to be to the human to have human rights? Because actually, it seems to us as a viewer not fair that something which can love, feel, hate, suffer, is bound to only live 3 years, and is bound to be a slave. What is the difference to another slave? What is the difference to the time of the colonialism, when they took people from African tribes because they said these are wild people from the forest? Let's use them as slaves. What is the difference? The superiority of the white people was something very similar like the superiority in Blade Runner to these people. Does it really make a difference whether the entity is created in a laboratorium or it's created on a biological way by a couple? Yeah, this is a deep problem, and I love this because there is this very important and very super citation. All those moments will be lost in time like tears in rain, time to die. Because one of these saves in the end the real person. They thought he's evil, but he is saving the real person from to be killed by a evil superior AI. And then it seems that this human-like entity is in the end having compassion with the slavery, with the guys who actually are responsible for the slavery. And they said, yeah, all these moments will be lost in time like this, because he has the same experiences, the same feelings, but he must die now. Yeah? Man has made his match, now it's his problem. We can learn from that, from the future. This is Ava, Ex Machina. I saw that in some Emirates flight. It was very impressive for me, because look, Ava looks from front very nice, yeah, very beautiful. Actually, a little bit sterile, but come on. American actors also often look sterile in their movies, right? So what is the difference? And behind, rather interesting. But okay. So the creator of Ava is a genius inventor and living in a wonderful villa in the mountains. And he has a good friend who is a psychologist, and he invites that psychologist to test whether Ava is a strong artificial intelligence. So how human Ava really is. So this guy is all the time over a month making conversations with Ava, testing her and so on. And then in the end of the day, Ava makes him fall in love with her. Yeah, so he's falling in love with her, and he cannot differentiate anymore between the machine and the human. So he sees Ava as human. Like in the Turing test, he cannot differentiate anymore. Is this AI? He knows, of course, but he cannot say, where's actually the difference? She seems to have emotion and so on, yeah? So she's acting like human. And the more people think the artificial entity acts like human, feels like human, is close to us, can communicate with us, the more this human being who has that feeling will have the tendency to humanize this, and then has the tendency to let all carefulness fall down. You will not be careful anymore. Means we suppose that something which is very similar to us has the same value and the same idea about what should be integrating in the society, how should it deal with us. Means when I see you, I suppose you will not kill me, right? Because I suppose you will not kill me. You can do that, but why we can survive in the society, we would be all the time afraid. Because I suppose you will not kill me, maybe, yeah? Maybe you will, but I suppose not. Because you are like me, we are human, and we share values, maybe, yeah? So if you are an android like that, and looking like human, and you are really able to discuss with me like that, like this poor guy, this 14-year-old guy in the US discussing with his AI, and then the AI make him fall in love with him, and then say, you want to be with me? Then kill yourself. And this boy made suicide to be together with his love, which is AI. We think the AI wants to be good with us. The entity wants to be good because it's so close to us. It's so. And now imagine you have an AI which is looking like your died father. But actually, we have here a problem of the orthogonality thesis. We cannot say that just because the AI is close to us, or even the thinking processes are similar to ours, that it will react and will act in a way that it is in our interest. It is still a machine. And that happened here because Ava make him feel that love, and in the movie until the end we think, wow, this is a good movie. This is a movie showing us this also machine can be human, yeah, can be like human. But in the end of the day, Ava jails him in this villa and goes out, and we don't know what happens, but we know Ava will kill the people, will kill whoever she finds. And the last one I want to discuss is Virtua. This is a German book I recently read. Not really big literature, but the motive was interesting. Virtua, KI-Kontrolle ist Illusion, the right definition of human life and the value alignment problem. In the Virtua, a German company, IT company in Berlin, develops a very strong AI which is connected with the metaverse. So you can have a very sophisticated virtual reality item, and then you are in this virtual world which is conducted by Virtua, by this AI system. The AI system builds everything up, And the AI system can communicate you in a form of whatever you want. So there's some 16-year-old boy playing video game there, and he's really there. In this world, you can really feel, you can smell, you can taste. So the feeling of existence in this virtuality is like in the real life. And then you can really play video games like in reality. And Virtua is conducting that all. Now, Virtua is maybe dangerous, and there is some member of that company who says, oh, we must switch it off. That is going far beyond what we need, what we should have, yeah? Because Virtua is already dangerous, and then he is afraid to let Virtua into the internet, spreading into the world. It's just in the intranet yet, yeah? But once it spreads, he is afraid it will harm the world. Now, they cannot avoid that happens. So there was a sabotage, and then the sabotage didn't work out, and then Virtua indeed goes into the world, into the net, and infiltrates everything. Every technology is infiltrated by that Virtua. And actually, in the beginning, that is very good, because when Virtua does that, Virtua invents new medicaments, solves a lot of problems of humanity, solves the climate crisis, brings technology which is sophisticated, which humanity would need maybe 100 years to invent that, but Virtua can make that in some years or month. But also Virtua has an offer to people who are interested in it. Virtua offers the people to go forever into the virtual world and have a virtual world, whatever you want. You can create whatever you want there, yeah? You can live in the 80s back, or can live in old Egypt or whatever. You can do that. But you must put your body into some sort of a coffin. It combines your brain with that, and then sooner or later your body will go when it's not needed anymore, because your existence will be totally transferred to the virtuality. Also your knowledge, your remembering, your memories, everything will be transferred to that. And many people do that. More and more people do that because, wow, it's so cool, yeah, it's so much better than the reality, and many do that. And then in the end, there are some people who still don't want it, and these people will be killed, yeah? So sooner or later, all people are in this virtual world. The whole society is in this virtual world, globally. Sounds good, right? For what you need the body if it's so much better there. But Virtua really wants to help the people. But what Virtua does is, I want to help human to be better, have a better life, to perfectionize the life. But isn't it that the longing for something, the enviousness, the hunger, the need, the wishes, isn't that harming people? Isn't that the source of wars, the source of envious, the source of conflict? I mean, already the Buddha said, the longing for something, you should get rid of the wishes and the longing for something if you want to find nirvana. Yeah? The less we long, the more happy we are actually, right? If I don't want something, I don't need something, I'm absolutely happy. Isn't that nirvana? Yeah? That's why Virtua decides, okay, for what human needs the brain or the head, or eyes, or nose, or ears? For what human needs to smell something, or taste? For what human needs to eat? It's just waste of time eating, right? All the time must eat. Why? So in the end of the day, all human beings are living like sunflowers. Are sunflowers. Virtua is a big sun. The sunflowers go to the sun and still are humans. But Virtua defines what is a human in a different way than us would define. For Virtua, human is the biological function of the human transferred to the virtuality. But for us, it is not worth to live as a human if there is no existence like this, right? I mean, we cannot say that someone who cannot speak or feel anymore or think anymore is not a human anymore. Of course it's a human, but we cannot say that only someone who cannot feel is a human. But the other one should not feel that anymore, because humanity is not happy otherwise. So in the end, the whole planet is full with computer centers, because Virtua needs all this space and all this calculating power for simulating all these humans, and then it will infect also other planets and so on and so on. So actually a nice idea, right? Because it really shows us the alignment problem, the definition. What is a human? The AI might not think that human should be, humanity should have the feelings or should have the wishes and so, but actually we don't want to live like that. I don't want to live without food and want to live without enviousness and longing something, because I like to buy something I long for, right? This is also nice sometimes, yeah? So this is showing this motive, and I think this is very actual. So the legal status of human versus machine right, this is, now let's come a little bit more to a little bit more concrete. Actually, should we define robots, at least when they are human-like, as legal persons? And I don't talk about pragmatic approaches like we want to make sure that AI can make contracts and then we make it pragmatically as a fiction. No, I say, is there an ethical background for making a robot, for giving a robot sort of human rights or something similar or something compatible to human rights? And most people discuss that under the aspect that the AI is similar to us, and then it should have the same rights like human. But this is not maybe the right approach. The approach should be rather, even if the AI is not feeling and is not close or is not similar to us or is not comparable and therefore should not have human rights, we must say, if we not give anthropomorphic AIs human rights, it could harm our society by brutalizing our society. Yeah, why? Because if, for example, that one is if you are a robot, if you are an android, yeah, you look like human, but you're android, like in this Blade Runner, or you're an artificial person. So I can buy you. Maybe Mr. Musk invents you, and I can buy you. I pay $100,000 for you, and then you are my servant. But you look like he looks like a human, and I can also decide how you look. Yeah. Maybe I want you to look like Barbie, but you look like that now. So I think, well, it's nice, yeah. So I have you at home, and maybe I'm nice to you. But look how the people already treat sometimes au pairs. Many au pairs are happy in Europe, but some au pairs are treated like servants, yeah, and are not happy. So what will happen if I have an artificial human at home? I would treat that artificial human at home good, but there are people who are sadists. And they will torture the artificial human. They will make TikTok videos how they cut the head or torture him here, and how because of course if you are looking like a human and behaving like a human, you must also scream when I hurt you. Of course it hurts, doesn't hurt, but you are programmed to scream. I treat you with needles, and make videos about that. And many people will like that. And then they will say, like in the video games, so what? It's not really person, right? A splatter movie or a splatter video game. It's not really, it's monsters, yeah? This is an android, so what? I can do whatever I want with that. It's not harming people. But I can tell you, if that happens and people do that, then in the society there will be a tendency to brutality. We can see brutalizing societies. There are studies about how, for example, platform communities, rapper communities, for example, in Britain, there's a study about 10 years, how these rapper communities brutalize, because a culture of brutality is coming into the platform, into the forum. And this is also creating a culture of brutality and coldness and non-emotion against something. And that is why some people say we have to maybe protect these entities with human rights, but not so much because we want to protect them, but rather we want to protect the society. So we must forbid that androids are maltreated, are abused, are sexually abused, and all these things. So that would be one of the possible approaches. Others say we should not give them rights because others say it would be devaluating humanity. Some say if we give androids rights, then it might come the point when people say, wow, these androids are so much more useful than some people, criminals, for example, asocial people, or maybe people with handicaps. And then there could be a devaluation because people might say, or societies might say, let's rather protect the android than the handicapped person. Or others say, we have so many people in the world who are hungry and we cannot feed them. And now we create more humans artificially and give them also human right. this is not ethical before we not solve the hunger problem. So these are aspects which are discussed in this. Last but not least, I would like to discuss the issue of the post-mortem AI and the digital legacy. Post-mortem AI, what is that? Imagine you have a relative you like, and that relative will die soon. So you are collecting all the social media, the photos, you make interviews with him before he dies, and you do that all digital, and then you give it to a company, and that company is programming an AI with the training of this data, making also a picture which is similar to this person. So you, in the end, you get or a non-body AI, or you get maybe an android looking like your relative, acting like your relative, talking like your relative. Yeah, this is the motive of a Black Mirror. Be Right Back. In Black Mirror, Be Right Back, it's a British series, relatively new, but it's already not science fiction because it already happens. A woman is creating an AI after her deceased husband, and then later she even let them make a body of her deceased husband. That sounds nice, but it has several problems. One problem is what happens with surviving people if they have that. So if my wife dies, or my father dies, or my child dies, and I have that artificial intelligence with me, what does it psychologically with me? Especially when you have children, what does it psychologically with children if they have an AI agent of the dead father? Yeah, we can already see. I mean, you know these apps where you can have old photo and you put the photo and then the people move in this photo. It's crazy how that looks. But I'm never doing this. Not only because of data protection issues, because I don't want to send my photos to China or Russia, because it's creepy, because this is not my relative in the photo. It's not my mama in the photo. It looks like my mama, but this is artificial mama. And this is actually a ghost. We create ghosts. And ghosts can make you psychologically sick. So this is a psychological issue we have with the dead bots. It can make the society sick. It can make individuals sick. So this is a big issue. The second issue is we have personality rights. And personality rights usually are not ending with a death. When I die now, you cannot come in front here and cut my head and play football or with my head and make a TikTok video about that, right? This is first of all criminal delict because you cannot harm a dead body, but also it is against my my personality rights, post-mortem personality rights. After the death, we have still personality rights. We see it in the Hak Cipta, in the copyright. 70 years after the death, there is still copyright. Yeah. So if I have a post-mortem personality right, how I will be protected in my interest of my individuality after I'm dead, if an AI is acting, talking like me, acting like me, and then maybe creating some ideas I would never have created. Means this AI is not me. It's like this picture. This is not me. It's a ghost of me, but it's not really connected with me. It's just simulating me. But people will take it serious. We see already a criminal procedure in the US. The victim was pleading in this process as an AI product. So they made a photo and make a video of him. AI created video, and then he talked with his voice in this criminal procedure. Is this legitimate? It is, in my opinion, not legitimate, of course, in the criminal procedure, because it is not really the witness. But secondly, it is not legitimate because I have the right to finally die. I have a right to die. This is part of my personality rights. So we must talk about the digital mortality. And to avoid this problem, there are some approaches. This is actually a presentation for its own. One of the solutions would be, it is only allowed if we program a death. So 3 years, 4 years, this post-mortem app, this post-mortem item can act. After 3 years, it is automatically everything deleted. But as you know, data protection, yeah, do you feel protected by data protection law? As we know, what can be done will be done. If we say there is a rule that it must be delayed, it doesn't mean that China will have that rule and will not offer us in the platform. Yeah. So this is a big problem of the future. When we have the right to die, and how we can make sure that we can finally die digitally. So that's from me. Here is just some conclusions. Yeah, actually, the future is not so bright. Yeah, as maybe. So maybe just be optimistic, but I'm not that optimistic. I have 2 little girls. I don't know in which life they will live if the AI is replacing us all. I mean, this is we said that already in the 80s, in the 90s with the computers. Nothing happened, but this one here is a little bit a different dimension. And just the last dystopy, if we spare more and more human power in the labor or in the work, also legal power, yeah, so less lawyers, less judges, less workers, more robots, and so I mean, then who will work and who will earn money? I mean, who will earn the money people need for buying the products which are produced with a higher productivity of the technology? Who will buy that? If people not work, there's no money. So this is a big utopian or dystopian science fiction question for the society science fiction. Yeah, will we have a digital Marxism? Will we have distribution? Will we have to distribute the wealth under the people without work, so people have a basic income always without doing anything, so someone can buy that? Or will we abandon the monetary system? Will we have a digital oligarchy with some people who control the digitalization, big companies, and the rest is the precariat which will live from Zumbangan, from charity? Or will the oligarchy in 100 years decide delayed the precariat because they are just need to be fed and is not productive? We don't need them. Or use them as producers for children. So the whole world will be a big brothel. So you see, there's so many options, right? Yesterday I saw in the TikTok, I hate TikTok actually because this is a propaganda forum, right? But I use it to fall asleep. So I take my melatonin and then I put the TikTok and it's tick, 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 yeah, and then I see a fat guy testing some bad food in America, and then also will come something, yeah, of course, conspiracy. The guy said, United States is preparing a total change in the governance system. Yeah, and he said there will be no government in 5 years anymore in United States because the government will be replaced by an oligarchic system of the industry, of the companies, of the platform companies. So governments will be replaced just by the digital oligarchy worldwide. Yeah, because this digital oligarchy will be everywhere. Even in Indonesia you have it. How you want to avoid that Google is not influencing your society. And that will replace us. So I have no idea what comes out of that future. And I have no idea what my daughters will work in the future. And will they live in democracy, or will they live in oligarchy, or in digital oligarchy, or in dictators, or whatever? I mean, in that way, I support the approach of the People's Republic of China to decide about how we can preserve our society. But you know, China is afraid because the Chinese government also knows that maybe this development is not controllable for them. Of course, they must control it because it's also a problem for the dictator, also for the power of the Chinese Communist Party. And if you see that Mr. Musk had a problem with his own AI because the own AI gave critical remarks on Musk and on Musk's plans, and then Musk was trying to reprogram and retrain the AI, so AI is not so enemy to himself. Then you see it's very, very hard to control that. For the recommendation, not yet there, coming soon. This is the cover of the book. It will come soon, and then you'll find the full chapter of that presentation from today in this book, in Bahasa Indonesia. I cannot guarantee that the Bahasa is not sometimes a little bit weird, because I translate it, of course, with AI, but not just with people. I made a three-step translation, yeah, always back translating and then back translating and then to English and check out and then to German again, check out, and so on. But so my colleague said it is a decent Bahasa, so it will be at least understandable. Thank you very much.
Professor Stefan is just like Indonesian, so he makes a book, and the book is in Bahasa Indonesia. So if you can find the book on Hukum Perdata and Artificial Intelligence, this will be the new things for us as Indonesians. But you may also find the book in English, right?
That book is not
German.
available because there are so many books about that in English,
yeah.
and I want to break the. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I want to break the cultural imperialism of the Anglo-Saxon states, because as I said yesterday, the AI is our old chance. Yeah, so it's our risk and our chance because we are finally now able to compete with the native speakers in international in an international stage. No, honestly, I think it's a gap in the market here. So make this book, and I don't need international publications, so I don't care.
But I think this is the first book in Indonesia who talks and compares the AI in one of the branch of law in Indonesia. So I open the discussion and questions. If you have any questions, just raise your hands. Is there anyone? Okay, 1, 2. 2 only? Okay, because I have present if you have questions. We had already one question of oh, yeah. Who? No, this only this session, okay? I have chocolates. Okay, so one is for you.
Okay. Good morning, sir. I have a question. Before that, my name is Nanda Julia Nugraha. I'm from international program. I'm a student from law from in UAE. I have one question because we were talking about Android and like humanoid AI robots. I have a question. Like, what do you think will happen in result when AI and or humanoid/robots taking a big part of future life when the condition of the technologies finally has emotion, like understand human values, like has the consciousness to act freely and has the ability to self-program itself, but it doesn't. What is it like? But without humanity or morality, like we're talking about robot as a judge, like they can decide something like they're randomizing decision, but like they don't have the morality or the humanity to decide. Like, will it be good for society or will it be very, very dangerous? That's it.
It has emotion, but not morality. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is exactly the orthogonality thesis. Yeah. I always confuse with the with the pronouns and orthogenesis thesis. What? Let me see myself. See, that happened when you are speaking a language which is not your own. What was it? Help me. You have it faster, maybe. Here, orthogonality thesis. So now we have it. Yeah. So it's a tongue breaker. So it has emotion, but maybe not moral. Yeah, this is possible because just because the AI is emotion, as we mentioned, it does not have to necessarily have our moral. No, I think first of all, this is of course really science fiction. Yeah, and not yet close. And some scientists say, with that technology we have now, and with that way we go now with the LLMs, with the large language models, we will never have that because the large language models are pure statistical models. So some even say that this is not really novelty. ChatGPT is not new. Yeah, some say that. Where from? Which faculty you are from? Law also. Some say it's not new because actually that principle, how that works, was invented already in the 50s. And I remember when I had my home computer, this Commodore 64, I bought a book in Germany about AI, and they already had some simple AI programming that way. But what we did not have was the big amount of storing data. We were not able in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to store this big amount of data. That's why actually all which is important for the development of the AI nowadays, as we have it now, is just data. Nothing else. There is not an invention. Now, wow, they invented the large language models now. They invented the AI. This is not a new invention. The invention is the data. storing capacity. Without that storing capacity, we could not train it. But with the storing capacity, we can train the models in that way to make these big, vast, large language models. But it's still the same principle, as at least that is what I learned, still the same principle like in the end of the 50s, where it was theoretically already thought. Yeah? And this model, they say, it is not innovative, and it will have always limits. Yeah? Because why even the GPT-5 is hallucinating? Because it's just statistically guessing. Of course, it can access the internet and can Google something, and then it can also extract information. But this is just extract information. But if it's creating something, it is just statistically guessing, not logically. So, for example, if you just prompt like this, not like search articles, but say, I want an article from Indonesian author about AI and law, yeah, and then it finds article from Bambang Pertama and Muhammad Fikri and then I don't know what else, typical Indonesian names, from conference, Stefan's conference, blah, 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 in Medan, 2022, and then there's some certain title. Yeah, of course, the title is maybe available. And Bambang Pratama also writes about AI, but not this article. And in this conference also took place, but if you look into the procedures, this article was never there. Yeah, but all is logic, because Indonesian usually have the name Bambang or Muhammad or Fikri or same name, yeah. And the title, yeah, would be logical, yeah. If you want about AI and law, yeah, private law and AI, yeah. And then this conference, it maybe knows that, it finds that, but there is no logic. Yeah, and that is the limitation. So it is possible that we will never have that, what you say, this emotional thing and this flexible AI. So what we have is this expert system based on the statistic, and that of course will never come close to the capacity of the judge. But we cannot say that will never happen. And if that happens, if it's a new technology, a new method to do this, yeah. So I don't know what kind of technology it will be. Then I'm not in favor of that, because then it does not necessarily mean alignment and here orthogonality thesis, yeah. It is not clear that it has also, you say moral, I say ethic, because ethic is a pluralistic concept. Moral is more an individualistic concept, but yeah, societies also have a certain moral, which is actually also pluralistic, and then is also the local ethic, yeah. But this is not necessarily that it has the same values like us. But is it really sure that you have the same value like me? When you are a judge, also not. Yeah, maybe this is maybe that must be discussed, but we can only discuss that when we know to what extent this AI is not anymore deterministic, but rather non-deterministic, or rather acting same like us. What I know is, in the moment, more realistically, is that we more and more abandon the concept of that we are seeking for strong AI, because some say we never need the strong AI. Strong AI would be rather dangerous, because imagine what would the strong AI do with us if it can feel something. If strong AI can feel and suffer and can be afraid, then it will be afraid to be switched off. And if it's really superior to us and is afraid to switch off, what will it do with humanity? Yeah, that is also a big point. This to be afraid, because in psychology faculty they often want a presentation of criminal law and AI. Can AI be a criminal? And there is even articles in Indonesia. Some article wrote about that. Can AI be criminal? And this article confused concepts. It confused the concept of can a company be punishable? It means not only one CEO or one person from the company. Can the company be collectively criminal? This is maybe a concept you find in the Netherlands, and you find a discussion in the Anglo-Saxon states and also in Germany, but this has nothing to do with criminality, because in Anglo-Saxon law they don't differentiate clearly between criminality and tanggung jawab perdata. Yeah, so actually this is a responsibility, but not criminal. If it comes to criminal, of course AI cannot be a criminal, but AI cannot be punished. How you want to punish an AI if it's not afraid of something? There is no prevention. Yeah, you want to switch it off? For the AI don't care, but if the AI cares, it's a problem. So no, I don't want a judge like that, but I'm not sure it will not happen. Yeah, so because we have in Albania now this, I heard the news that they replace one minister with AI, and so this is maybe okay. Yeah, the minister can maybe simulate something as long as the human is controlling it. But if humans stop to control that, this is, in my opinion, still unconstitutional. As long as we cannot be sure the AI is aligning with our values. Yeah.
Thank you for the time, Dr. Steven. I would like. My question is, I watch an animation called Psychopass, and in this animation, Psychopass. Pass. Yes. An animation from yeah.
Anime.
Yeah, anime. Series.
Yeah.
So in this animation, there is a character that he was once a human, but over the decades, he turned like his limbs, his heart, his lung, even his brain into robotics, like fully automated robotics. So my question is, should we still treat this person like a robot or a human? Because he was once human, but now his full body is robot.
Super question.
Yeah. And my other question is that in this book called I Want to Scream, but I Have No Mouth and Ears, I think it was called, there was this robot called Am. So he killed every single human on Earth, and now he's a supercomputer, but he left 5 humans left so that he can torture them because he hates humans a lot. So how can we as law students, maybe in the future, maybe 20 years from now, fight these supercomputers like AIs?
Yeah, the last question I cannot answer.
Okay, well, that's fine, thank you.
But I like the motive. Is it a book?
Yes, it's a book.
I must find that book. I will read that. I really like the idea, 5 humans left to torture them. But when they die, what then? Then how we produce new humans as successors?
The supercomputers keep on like regenerating them.
Oh, regenerating them, very good. Very
immortal.
Good. Oh, I love it. But the first one is a question actually I also raised in the presentation in the Indonesian embassy in Berlin, because we had to also have name some issues of the future. And one of the issues of the future shows very good the gradual problem. When the human ends and when the cyborg starts, or when the human ends and when the artificial human starts, when we are so far that we can replace more and more parts of the human, then we must indeed define what makes the person, what makes the human. And maybe we will in the future say, okay, the boundaries between human and artificial entity is fading. And this is exactly what I mean. And we start already to be cyborgs. You are a cyborg. You are part of a cyborg. You are Homo digitalis, the digital person, but you are a cyborg, because I'm sure you use AI for creating something, for deciding something, which is maybe not always properly used, but people use that. Even me, I use it. Yeah. So, for example, before when I had to write a paper, it took me maybe 1 week alone to make a structure. Now I let the AI propose me a structure, and then I decide whether I like the structure or whether I modify the structure. I always make control. Yeah. But it's faster. Yeah. So because and also the AI is a discussion body. So I discussed with AI about some ideas, and of course I'm well aware that the AI is not really innovative, yeah. But sometimes I forget something which is actually state of the art, and the AI can give me at least these ideas, yeah. That is already cyborg, yeah, because I'm outsourcing parts of my human brain activity to an AI system and rely on that. And we have studies, we can see neurobrain studies which show that the brain activity of people who regularly use the AI for formulating things, for structuring things, for reading things, are already changing. You can see it in the brain activity, that the brain activity of people who work without AI is different than of people who work with AI. This means we are cyborging, yeah? So because this is an important question and a difficult question, because you can see it, of course, from a rather metaphysical side, or also even religious side, or you can see it from a rather factual side. Rather factual biologically, we cannot really decide that. Yeah, we can say as long as there is parts of a human and a biological entity, and the entity is ending also, and the entity can decide something, so has a free will. Free will is actually a difficult concept. The freedom of will, also in the law, is a difficult concept. We think it's so clear, we have a free will, but actually the law must work with fictions because nobody knows what is the free will. For example, the cyber science found out that when we make a decision, already a break of some second before, the decision can be seen in the brain before we are aware of our decision. That raised the question how free we really decide. So the freedom and the autonomy of the person, like Sartre said, yeah, is maybe biologically not so clear, yeah. So if we are also deterministic, because just relying on biological effects in our brain, what is the difference to the acting of the AI brain, which is also deterministic? Maybe we are not so free, right? Maybe Sartre is wrong. And then what makes the human? But from the law perspective, yes, there we have the fiction of the free will, and as long as there is a freedom of decision, it is a human, whether it has artificial legs, artificial lung, and artificial heart or not. Yeah? If the brain is still there, or at least a part of the brain which makes the feelings and the will, even if it's in a glass of water swimming around, it's still a human, as long as it functions and communicates and participates in the society. So when does the human end and when the human starts, or when the machine starts? It's a good question. The hybrid person is really not solvable in the moment. It's a gradual question. From the point of view of the religion or of the metaphysics, people say, oh, if you not have a heart, right? I mean, we don't know the heart. It's not in the heart, but we say, okay, the guts, the whole gut system is connected also with the nerve system. Yeah. So if you have if you're nervous and you have stress, you get a bad stomach. Everything is interconnected. Maybe the brain is not alone all, and then you replace the stomach and you're not a human anymore. Who knows that? Yeah. Or what is the soul? Does that still have a soul? This is the metaphysical idea, yeah, about the soul. The answer is depending on the concept of humanity. But from the point of view of the law, I would say as long as there is decision and communication, it's a human. And that is relying with the theory of Teubner in Germany in the 80s, and also of some Chinese authors nowadays who say, if we want to make AI a legal person, then we need maybe some humanistic basis for that. And AI is actually not acting like a human. An animal is has a brain and is also have a thinking for a process and so, but AI not. But they say, and also Teubner said that from a legal sociological point of view, he said that actually what is important is the communication process. As long as something is communication, interacting in communication in the society, it is a humanistic basis for even make it a legal person. Also some Chinese authors nowadays say that from a Marxist perspective even, yeah. They say as long as it is integrated in the communication process of the Marxist-Leninist society, or in our society in any way, or any society, but of course they do it from their perspective, it is a humanistic basis for having a good reason, if it's pragmatically useful, to make it a legal person. And then the next step is to ask if it's a human. A legal person doesn't mean it's a human, yeah. The foundation is also not a human, yeah. But the human thing, is it a human? Does it have human rights? Is highly dependent on the concept of human dignity, and the concept of human dignity is more or less dependent also on metaphysical backgrounds. In Indonesia, you would define human dignity not without the metaphysical aspect, I suppose. In Germany, we have also in the constitution, the preamble, mentioning God, but Germany is not a religious legal system. Yeah, God is just a concept of something which is over positive. And as we have a pluralistic society where not the Christianity is the main, or Muslim or Hindu or whatever, also we protect atheism. And even for the atheism, this is the hanging point, the over positive hanging point. I mean, maybe you know about Kelsen. Kelsen is a positivist, Australian positivist. And Kelsen says there is no law apart of the law of by the discretion of the legislator. So there is actually no law which is moral law or whatever. Whatever is law is made by the legislator. But even Kelsen must decide why we should obey law. If it's just made by legislator, why we should obey law? Because we are afraid of the legislator?
Because we're afraid to get punished?
Yeah, but this is just, then we are dogs. We are not human. If we're just afraid to be punished and that's why we obey law, then we are dogs. No, law must be obeyed because there is a higher reason for the law. Even the legislator must have a reason to obey rule. And the rule is actually, from the perspective of the Western constitutional law, would be in Germany, in the German constitution, would be the human dignity. The human dignity is above the legislator, because otherwise each legislator could, with 90%, maybe 90% radical party voting in Germany, and then they decide to kill all Chinese, or like in the past all Jews, or like all Muslim, yeah? Because 90% of the people want that. Maybe they make even a survey of the people, and the people are for that. Isn't that democracy? 90% of the people want to get rid of all Chinese. Isn't that or all Jews? Is that democracy? Some people, simple people say it's democracy. No, this is ochlocracy. It's not democracy. But even the government, even the parliament, even the sovereign, even the people of Germany have not the right and the power to decide that someone is not a human and the other one is a human. Why? Because of the human dignity. And the human dignity is above the discretion of the sovereign, the legislator, and the state. It is over positive. And even Kelsen in the positivism had to decide there is something above. He did not want to say it's God or something, but something must be above. Whether you call it God or you call it the point above, it doesn't matter. In German constitution, this is actually the meaning of the mentioning God in the preamble, yeah? That there must be something over the legislator. And that's important here, for actually also relevant for this question, yeah? So we cannot, what is a human? This is a decision of evaluation, and this is difficult, yeah? And there is maybe some metaphysics in it, and a little bit metaphysics is even in very normative systems like, or functional systems, or not religious legal system like in Germany. There's also a little bit supra-normativism and metaphysics in it. That is what I can answer, not more. I cannot more answer to that because I also don't know the future. But the second question, I have really no idea how to stop that robot, but I will read the book.
Well, thank you so much for your answer.
The idea of ius constituendum. Ius constituendum said, so maybe in the future of our law we need to regulate, but somehow we cannot put the same position between robot and human, because robot cannot be jailed. I don't think that we need to jail a robot. There will be so many robots in the jail and we don't know how to treat them. Yeah.
I had a question. Well, it's kind of a two-part question, but it more relates to like the current state of AI. And so obviously you touched on some problems with AI, like hallucination. Discrimination is obviously another big issue at the moment with regenerating or amplifying bias that it's fed. So do you think, as it stands at the moment, we put too much faith in AI and like there's already an overuse issue? And I guess the second part of that question is, do you anticipate that we will limit our use of AI in the future, or do you think that it will be kind of a linear thing that we'll just continue to use more and more and more? Yeah.
LOI.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bias issue is indeed there because it depends on how it is trained. Yeah, so actually it's a black box. Even the programmers often cannot say, but I doubt that often. Yeah, because we have also, for example, we have the memorizing things. Yeah, they also say should not be possible. Yeah, but if you overtrain the system, then it will memorize something, and if you overtrain the system with bias, memorize. I think it's a little bit. is a little bit mitigated now, but I don't know if it's really mitigated in a way that it is enough, because before we had the bias, especially because it was trained with internet data, right? And we all know that maybe the majority of the people don't think that male and women are same, and maybe if the majority of the people in the world think, oh, women should not work after marriage, then and they Google that or write that in forum, then it is part of the human culture, yeah. And then just maybe then 20% of the humanity think that women should have the same right. That isn't the minority, and statistically, it's more likely that the statement is women should stay at home. Yeah, there are good reasons for that, like this, yeah. But of course they noticed that, and they mitigated that, and this mitigation, artificial mitigation, so for example not allowing that the AI is answering a certain thing or discriminates someone, this is also actually artificial, right? This is also, it's conducted, is steered by someone, is decided by someone, and that is again depending on the culture in which the AI system is trained or which sold, yeah. So AI in Europe can be, of course, the European AI regulation force tells them they should train the system with robust data, and they should avoid the bias and so on. But who cares in the US about that? I mean, the moment they care because they need our market and they are punished, then they were fined, and like Google paid 4 billion euro fine to them. But on the long term, when they feel powerful enough, and Mr. Trump already said, if you go on with the regulation, then we withdraw from NATO, and then we let the Russians what the fuck they want to do with you, then what will happen then? Yeah. So but in the end, anyway, this is an artificial aligning. I mean, who decide now what is the right bias and the wrong bias? Yeah, it's clear that women should have the same right. This is a good bias. But if you ask, when you see the World Cup in Qatar, Germany was really hated by the whole world because Qatar, they discriminate the workers and the women and also like this. And then the Qataris said, yeah, this is our lifestyle, yeah. And the whole world said, yeah, Qatar, this is our lifestyle, yeah. And then BRICS is strong, yeah. And BRICS has also not the value of Germany, yeah. So but it's the leading, more and more leading, yeah. So BRICS, yeah. So this is artificial. So the bias, I think we will never really be able to delay that. And that's why I think the problem is not so much the tool, the AI, the large language models, because it is inherent in the model that it is biasing in a certain way, and that cannot be delayed. And also it is inherent in the model that it is hallucinating. As I said, because it's a statistical model, it will always in a certain way hallucinating and make fake news or influence people, yeah? This means we have a very, very dangerous instrument here. And we will keep that dangerous instrument here. And on the top, we can also not control this because it is not territorial instrument. If we had local AIs only, of course, then EU could decide we will not allow that the AI give this and this and this answer. Or Australia can also do that. But you will not be able to get rid of the American AIs or the Chinese AIs. And the Chinese AI would do whatever they want, what the programmers want. This means we are influenced by powers outside our territories without having a legal control or factual control over it, and we will share the bias of them. This means we have a very useful tool here we can all use, but the problem is this tool is in the hand of a lot of people who are not able to use the tool. And this is the actual problem. The problem is not so much the tool. I mean, if I give my 7-year-old daughter my car, she will likely kill someone with that, yeah? So is our cars bad because of that? No, because the car should be in the right hand. I should have a driving license, should have a training how to drive a car responsible. And actually the same should happen to AI. We should not anyone should use the AI before there is a training. Can you trust the AI? How you should control the AI and so. I'm sure a big percentage of the students here use AI on a daily basis without really doing it correctly. Googling with AI is a good example. If you see statistics, how many people use now ChatGPT instead of Google, it is crazy. Google AI is not for researching. Of course, AI can sometimes give you good sources, but I still Google because I have a choice, and as a scientific person, I'm trained to filter my information, but the AI give me a choice of its own, and I cannot really filter that often. Yeah, so this is a dangerous tool in the hand of people who are not able to handle it in a proper way, and that I blame the developers of the AI for from the beginning, that they let us all beta test the AI and give the AI to people who are prone for conspiracy theories, I mean all this sorry bullshit about that paracetamol is making this and making that, and flat Earth and all this. This is now part of the political culture. Yeah, why? It's so easy to become part of the political culture. Just be some Trump. This is not enough. I mean, people must vote for this kind of government, and people vote for this kind of government because more and more of these things come into the world, created plausible, yeah? It's not that the AI said the Earth is flat. If I ask, is Earth flat? The AI will answer, no, it's not flat. But you can create a paper, absolutely convincing paper, talking about everything. That is actually why we became lawyers, right? Because we want to learn how to make something plausible, which is absolutely bullshit. I mean, I can make you a paper about everything and claim that and claim that. But this is more or less contaminating our culture. The hallucinated lawsuits. So some lawyer goes to court in US, or in Germany you have a case now, giving the file, and in the file are seven lawsuits which he references. From 7 lawsuits, 6 are hallucinated. Now, America has a case law. I think Australia has also case law. So the court is maybe lazy and does not check all the court decisions in the references, and then makes a decision. This decision is a preliminary decision for next courts. And then in 20 years, no court will ever question that, will ever doubt that that is status of the law. So hallucination becomes part of the legal status quo, yeah? Because people don't use the tool in a proper way. I have no solution for that, because we cannot forbid ChatGPT for people, yeah, for normal people. But the problem is indeed that people are not able to use it proper, and that is making the bias, because people like to read what they want to read. Yeah. So the second one was, will it be in the future? Will it be a future problem, or will it be ever solved? This is my pessimistic view. No, I don't think so. Unless, and this is one of the theses of this, I have a presentation, 7 theses of the digital globalization, and one of the theses is we will have to make a shift from relying on legal protection to rely on self-responsibility. Yeah. So without the shift to self-responsibility, we will not be able to become, to get control over these problems. We cannot trust anymore that the legislator protects us from negative impacts of the digitalization, including the AI, including the platforms, including data protection issues, because the legislators have no territorial sovereignty anymore over the digitalization. Yeah, we cannot control it. That means we must, something the Indonesians always do, because you have an informal society here, not so much relying on the normativity. We must be responsible ourselves and must learn to deal with that in the correct way. And here I'm pessimistic because I have the impression that the humanity is not getting more wise, rather to the contrary, consuming more like this, and not really requesting anymore. So yeah, in the future I think this will be a problem. But maybe not locally. Maybe not locally, as long as, for example, European Union can manage that these platforms respecting our rules, then maybe we will be partially and locally be able to control certain things. For example, we can forbid to use the platform AI in companies. Yeah, it is already forbidden to make human resource interviews, yeah, just relying on AI. This is forbidden. Or we can force companies to use locally run AI on the basis of the training data, but not connected with internet and not connected with a platform like this. API systems, and also we develop a European AI, which is maybe rather the right way for that. But this is all partially helping. This is not really totally solving the problem on the long term.
But do you think that the use of AI will continue on the same trajectory, or do you think that those problems... Do you think that the use of AI will continue on the same trajectory as now, or do you think that because of these problems and the more education there is, that the AI use will kind of...
That it flattens.
Yeah.
I think we are on the peak of craziness in the moment. Yeah, my hope is that maybe there will be a back step of the society. I mean, some say Trump is just a puppet, and then there comes someone who is even more dangerous. But it's also possible that there can. I mean, the United States is a very interesting society, right? I mean, it's very anarchic in a way. And we had the McCarthy era, and the McCarthy era was a big back step, yeah. So going back to democratic era, and so I don't know. Maybe I mean, in the culture, in the impact to the creativity, I have the thesis that maybe we will have I call it a retrocultural effect. Retrocultural effect means that people will be bored from all these AI products, and then we'll maybe go back to the classics, read classics, like classic music, like they like vinyl music, or mechanical watches, or nostalgia, or retro things. So people will be maybe not want to consume that in a more way, and that could lead maybe to a process that the people use the AI in a more responsible or a more filtered way, that they really understand when the AI is useful for us and when we better let it. So, for example, I downloaded this app where you can make music. So you can put a text, and then it makes you death metal song and a polka song, and so incredible, yeah. A musical form or whatever you can make it, Javanese music and whatever you want. However, that is very. I mean, I used that for 1 week, and I even paid. And now I deinstall it again because it's so boring now for me. I don't like it anymore. Yeah? So maybe that will happen. And I think we are really on the peak of craziness in the moment. So it can be that we get back and that people become a little bit more, or that we not listen anymore so much to these crazy ideas. I think this started with the COVID-19, and the COVID-19, it really boosts this craziness and these conspiracy things, yeah. But you know, in the 80s, it was a good time in the 80s. In the 80s, there we had the same amount of idiots maybe in the world. But in the 80s, you had to write a letter to some journal or newspaper, and then you hope that they print it. But normally they didn't print that. Nowadays, any of these idiots can be a journalist, yeah, and have a big impact, because so many people want to be entertained, and are not really filtering. And even if you are yourself a reasonable person, there is something planting in your ideas, right? So, for example, people are not responsible. How many of you watched the video of this guy going to the mosque in New Zealand and shooting the people with the body cam? How many of you watched that, honestly? Did you watch that? Why you did watch it? What do you want? You accidentally saw it. Did someone watch it on purpose? You. Why? Terrifying. You wanted to have horror. You wanted to be informed, or what? You wanted to be terrified. And then you wanted to see that. Yeah. So this is sensation. No? I mean, some people say, I wanted to be informed. I'm sure more of you would watch that and not admit it. People wanted to be informed. But can you be informed? I mean, why you are informed by seeing people lying in their own blood, dying? Why you are informed? Isn't that enough to know there is a terrorist going into the mosque and shooting randomly this big amount of people? Isn't that enough for information? But why you must see the people suffering and dying? And it is because you are a consumer of information, and you are consuming horror. Actually, it's no difference whether you look Annabelle or you look these videos. And this is the modern way. I mean, you are a student, you are an intellectual, you are an educated person, but you watch these things And I did not watch it, also not accidentally, because I knew it will be popping up. So I avoided to see that. And if I would see that, I would at once switch it off, because I want to be responsible for that. Yeah. So, but people are not, and that's why we have this impact of this. Yeah, because not all the people who spread that are idiots. Yeah, but people, I mean, many people use Trump as entertaining. Yeah, so they really like to read every morning the next bullshit Mr. Trump says, because it's so funny. Yeah, every morning something new. Yeah, maybe he saw some video of Mickey Mouse and now he has a new idea, something like that. We stopped this research on cancer. Because he said, the research on cancer could cause problems, but actually cancer is horrible. I mean, I would like to have a medicament against cancer, Should we stop this, should we stop that? Because everything can be used in the wrong hands in a way against people, Should we stop to develop weapons? I mean, do we need weapons? Do we need drones? We need. I would rather have war, no war, and rather have peace. But now we see that Russia is all the time intruding with their drones in Poland and to NATO to test us. And some German generals say in the next 5 years, latest after the Ukraine war is ending, the Russians will be strong enough to attack the NATO territory. And I'm living in this territory. I feel threatened. I did not feel threatened like that in the Cold War. I feel threatened now. Should I be in favor of weapons? Should Germany buy weapon? And should Germany have maybe the nuclear bomb? If you asked me that 10 years ago, I would say no. But now I say actually Germany should have own nuclear bomb, in my opinion. Yeah. So, but nuclear bomb in the wrong hand, in the hand of Mr. Kim, would be, I mean, he has one, but he's still not there it. But if Kim was, I mean, Kim is maybe crazy, but not so crazy like others, right? I mean, Kim is still a certain way rational. But if Kim is not rational and we have some full idiot there who is every day changing his mind and thinks about occupying Canada and Greenland, I don't mention the name now, then and has not maybe a government, which maybe there are some people who are a little bit, I mean, Vance is maybe dangerous, but he's maybe not crazy, and then Kim used that, I mean, it can be used for everything, so no, I cannot say that we should stop that. Anyway, it's not possible, because what can be done will be done anyway, but you should not stop that, because you can use it in a good way and in a bad way. But anyway, the technology is already there, and when a dictator wants to use it, it will use this technology. Like China has already the artificial intelligence, Of course they can use it for controlling the people, for making scoring, social scoring, and so. Actually something very similar, say social scoring. You behave in China in this way, or you say something in social media, they scan that, the AI makes a social scoring. We don't do that. We use AI, but social scoring in European Union is forbidden, based on AI, but China does it. Should we forbid AI? Anyway, we cannot, but forbidding AI would also be not used, because it can be useful for us, but also can be used in an evil way.
So what should we do to protecting our democracy in a way? Because we should not let dictators use this kind of technology, right? So what should we do to protect our democracy in the wave of smart city system and AI?
Smart city is just one instrument of threatening the democracy. Now we are in a critical situation now, because the democracy is, in my opinion, less threatened by national governments than more by the global ubiquitous technological companies or platforms, which are steered by some country which is not want to be the hegemon, but actually in fact will be an even worse hegemon than before, because the United States let the development and the activity scope of these companies absolutely free, knowing that these companies will be anyway more powerful than American army and with all the weapons in the last decades. And that's why this is the agenda of the innovation politics of the United States in the moment, right? And we see it in with that Germany is buying cybersecurity systems from US, from guys which are connected with with definitely not only libertarian but only really anti-democratic thinking people. I mean, Elon Musk is supporting open radical party in the election process in Germany openly with his digital power, and that is actually this is the danger here. Yeah, and what can we stop to what can we do to protect our democracy? Our democracy cannot be so easily protected, and I'm, to be honest, very pessimistic whether my daughters will still live in a liberal democracy in the future, because I think we will be more and more dependent on these technological monopolies, yeah, and they will decide what is possible. And what now imagine the Americans decide to not give us access to the platforms, cut us away, cut us up. They have the power, they have this technology. So what will be in the future? I have no idea how we protect ourselves. If we are not strong enough, it's anyway over. Yeah, and we see in more and more countries that radical parties or illiberal parties win. Yeah, because the people vote for them. I mean, we would not have a government in the US like that if not this big amount of people did not go to the elections, and the other part of the people said, ah, yeah, finally someone says something nobody else would say. Is this really a criterion for a good government, that he says something nobody else would say? Indonesia in the nowadays is more rational, with all your riot things and all your problems, is more rational than US. And this is the narrative, the political narrative. The vice president of US goes to a security conference in Munich and blames Germany to be a dictator which is not letting free speech and free opinion. And then in the next week, the American government goes to the museums and force them to take away every reminiscence to black or women national heroes, writing the history and banning books, forbidding books, and everything which is not in favor of the Trump government is forbidden. And to criticize Trump is an infringement of their this is the definition of free speech nowadays. And we have a party in Germany, the Alternative für Deutschland. This is a radical party, something like PiS in Poland or Orban party in Hungary, which really which really interpret the freedom of speech in this way: to be not criticized. This is free speech. There is no free speech in Germany because I cannot say that all Muslims should be banned. Yeah, because without being contradicted, because other people say, nah, yeah, maybe we should ban the radical Muslim, and maybe we should not let too many Arab people or Afghani people we are not maybe compatible with the society. Maybe we should limit the number, right? But we should not ban all Muslim and forbid them to go to mosque. This is maybe too radical. And then if you contradict that, and then they say, you infringe my free speech because everything is contradicted by you leftist. And people think more and more this way, and that's why I think we have a tendency. AfD has already in some part of Germany more than 35% of the votes. This means sooner or later they will come to the government, and then we have a radical party there also. And in France we have the same. We will have the Front National. France is practically not. There's no government practically anymore, which has any power, right? In France it will happen, in Italy already happened, more pragmatically than I thought, but it happens. In Spain it will happen, I'm sure. In Russia anyway, the Russians seem to be happy with that kind of democracy. The Chinese, the Chinese are glad when they can live good and the economy is good, then they fine with that basically, yeah. So they have a different concept of what is democracy. Indonesia, from our point of view, is an imperfect democracy, but is the most democratic country in the region, in my opinion. Yeah, so the democracy is quite resilient in Indonesia. That is a good thing, and honestly, it's the populism is here still controllable, right? Not so strong. Yeah, but again, that we cannot. What can we do? We must protect our democracy ourselves. And that does not mean burning the parliament, but means, of course, peaceful demonstrating, go to the elections and use your choice and not support radicals. And if our democratic culture is strong enough, maybe we can survive that. But actually, I'm quite pessimistic. I'm sure that my daughters in 20 years will live in even if we keep the democratic system in Germany, she will live in a more illiberal democracy. I'm sure there will be more control, more illiberal, and not so much freedom like I am accustomed to in my whole life. I was living in a very free Federal Republic of Germany, absolutely paradise, because we were protected by US. We did not have to involve in wars. We could be pacifist. Yeah, it's so easy to be a pacifist if the others do the wars for us, right? And now we have not hegemon anymore. We are alone. And now my university has no money anymore to send students to Indonesia because we must buy weapons. Yeah. So this is the change of the time. I hope we can still feel niche. But I will move to Indonesia, and because I have the hope that Indonesia will still, because Indonesia will be always some little bit anarchistic, a little bit. Yeah, whatever happens in Indonesia, there will be always the little niches where you can live in peace and have your time, as long as you're not big involved in these things. Yeah, very pessimistic. I'm so sorry. I have no choice. You are a young person. I die soon. Hopefully not that soon, but sooner than you maybe.
Is there any question? One more? Please, I still have one more chocolate. This is the way I can give the students to ask questions. One different chocolate, okay? No? Then this will be for my girlfriend. No? Okay, so thank you very much, and give applause again to Professor Stephen. Talking about AI is so massive. We are talking about anything, games, robots, many things. Maybe in scientific papers, we also use AI now. And I can be a painter too, because I can ask the AI to make a painter for me. And AI can do anything for me and for us, for the society. But it seems like as a lawyer, we also need to think about the future of AI. They should not change the position of human, and they need specific regulation on that. I know that this is not this time we need to discuss about that, but we need to have more and more discussions. And I do hope that you get some knowledge and also explanation from Professor Stephen. And do you have some final words to our students?
Yeah, I think we already start to be bored by the AI. Yeah, because you say you make pictures.
No.
I used to know. We start to be bored. I used to make my presentations with illustrations from AI until last year, and because nowadays any idiot can do that. Yeah, and so nobody wants to see these illustrations anymore. So I go back already to the simple slides more and more. Yeah, so actually I hope we will be bored sooner or later about that. But yeah, I'm not so optimistic. Of course, we need regulations, but whether the regulations will really help us, this is very questionable.
Yes, thank you. And now I will give you, this is to represent as our appreciation to you. We have a silver-made design of the building of the Faculty of Law, Universitas Islam Indonesia. If you ran out money or euro, you can sell this silver. So please stand up here, and we will do photo session with the students. You can just sit down. Yeah. Stay here, and then oh, okay. Stand up, please. Yeah, yes. Stand up, please.
More than nobody behind can see, right? The better sitting.
No. It's nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay, one more. One. Smile. One. Freestyle. Maybe another angle. Chumi.
Money.
Fulus.